Hey there, Kingdom Purpose Pursuer. Welcome back to my channel. I am Trasetta Alexander, faith-based business and productivity coach. And today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite things. So, as a productivity coach, one of the things that I talk about a lot are productivity tools, productivity apps, and just kind of various things to help to save time. But today I want to share with you just kind of some of my favorite things, those things that I personally can't live without. Some of them are as it relates to productivity, either some very directly and some indirectly. Actually, if I really think about it, all of them some are related to productivity, and that, or I should say that the reason why I like them is because that they help me with my productivity. Because if you've been following me any length of time, you know I wear many hats. So I work full time. I have my coaching practice part time right now until I can build it where I am doing it full time, as well as my husband and I pastor a church. So I have church responsibilities. I am a wife and mother, daughter, sister, auntie, all those things. So I have a whole bunch of hats. So being my most productive self is going to be really important. I'm always looking for things that make my life easier. And that's what I'm sharing with you today, the things that I simply can't live without right now. And the first thing that I want to share with you is something that I only recently discovered. Matter of fact, over the summer, I was at Starbucks doing a little work, and there was a gentleman. I was sitting at the big community table, and sitting across from me, with this gentleman was using this particular notebook, and it really caught my attention. And so I started asking him about it, and he showed me all that you could do with this notebook. Yes, a notebook. And I was immediately sold. Matter of fact, I hopped on Amazon before we finished our conversation and ordered a set. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you first, and that is the Rocketbook Everlast. Now, you may be looking at it, it's pretty thin. There's not that many pages, and you might say, Trasetta, why is this little tiny notebook so important to you? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to share with you. The reason why I love this notebook is, first, let me back up a second. I have notebooks for everything, right? So I like to, during school, back to school shopping, I like to go and buy those single subject notebooks, right? You know, these single subject notebooks, and I'll buy maybe like between 7 and 10 of them, and label on the front of them what it's going to be. You know, I have one for content, I have one for just like ideas, and just all that, you know, each one has its own purpose. So I have these notebooks with all these different purposes, and I'll be out and about somewhere, and I'll get an idea, or I'll have a thought for, maybe it's some content that I want to create, and I don't have my content notebook with me. So I end up writing it in whichever notebook I do have with me, so I don't lose a thought. But then when it comes time, like, oh, I had that idea to do a video, or I had this idea to do a blog post, and I'm looking through my content notebook and it's not in there. So I'm like, okay, well, which notebook did I have that day? And so I'm having to search through notebook after notebook after notebook before I finally find, and hopefully find, the information that I'm looking for. And so that's where this Rocketbook comes in. And so the size that I got is basically like a half sheet of paper. And I got this size because it fits into my purse. And so I can have it with me, keep it with me wherever I go, and I don't have to worry about it. But what makes it so unique is, so the pages are not traditional paper. I'm not really sure what kind of material it is, but it's kind of sleek, and it has these little, I don't know if you can see them, but it has these little dots, these little grid dots on them. And at the bottom, it also has these little icons, has all these little icons across the bottom. And what you do is you designate those icons to a specific place, right? So in the front, then you have all the different icons, and you can write in what place you want these go to. So you can have them have it set to, you can send it to your email to a specific email address, or maybe you have, like me, you have multiple email addresses. And so sometimes I write things in here for work, sometimes for my business, sometimes personal. And so I can have it sent to a specific email address. But what I usually, and the reason I don't have this filled in is because the majority of my notes, they just go to Evernote, and which is my very first thing. I have them go to Evernote. And then once I send it to Evernote, then I can organize it in there, right? And so what you do is you just put a little X next on whatever icon you want to send your image to, the picture of your note to. And there's an app that's available on iPhone, iOS or Android, that goes along with it. And you just literally, you just scan your note and then have the note sent to wherever you want to send it, or you can just store it inside of the Rocketbook app and then send it somewhere later on. This is the Rocketbook app right here. And so you open up the app and tap on New Scan, and it gives you the little thing, and so you just position the page within the screen, and you just position it. The screen will turn green and it'll capture the image for you. Once you have the image, and I put the little X there where it's going to go. Take the app and your page that you're going to scan. Once you've actually scanned it and sent your note to wherever you want it to go, whether it's an email or to some sort of drive like Google Drive or Dropbox, Evernote, wherever you want to send it, then all you do is you dampen your cloth and you just simply wipe off the text, whatever you have written. Then you just have to kind of like let it dry off a little bit, but then you just reuse the page. So then again, so this is like the coolest thing ever. I love it because like I said, I can carry just one notebook and know that I don't have to worry about searching through notebook after notebook after notebook for the information I'm looking for. And then because I send just about everything to Evernote, what happens is I can then organize it into the specific, just like I have my, like I was doing with the single subject notebooks, I can have it, I have that notebook set up in Evernote so that they go to this, I can organize it into a specific folder. So that is the coolest thing. So I bought a set. I have the little pocket one that I keep in my purse. I use this one primarily for like grocery lists and things of that nature, lists or to-dos kind of thing. But this one is for where I keep notes. And so that is my number one favorite thing right now. The next thing that I'm going to share is a companion to the Rocketbook. Although I was using it before I found out about the Rocketbook, I have been using friction pens. A coworker of mine introduced me to friction pens maybe about a year or so ago. And I totally fell in love with them because they are erasable pens. They have these little like rubber things on the end of them so that you can, you erase, they're called friction pens because you erase the text that you've written by friction with these little rubber things. And you have, the thing about the Rocketbook, you can only use friction pens with it. And so I was like, oh, I already use those pens. So I had already fallen in love. Then there's several different types. So this particular one, this is the one that actually came, one of the ones that came with the Rocketbook that I got. So it's just a regular, I broke the clip off. So it's just like a regular fine point pen. But then I also have, these are, I have these, which are the friction colors. They're like markers. So it's got a marker tip. I use these for my calendar. As you see my big calendar, that's what I use these for because I like to color code things. And then for my actual planner calendar, I use the clicker ones. Right. And so, like I said, they all have these little rubber ends where you can erase whatever you have written. And I'll show you inside the Rocketbook how that works. So you have your text, and then you just wait. Let me see what I'm okay. I wanted to make sure before I started erasing. Let me see what I was erasing. Um, and you just rub it across like you would any other eraser, and it erases the text so that you can correct whatever you want to correct. So that is my number 2 favorite thing, are friction pens. I cannot live without my friction pens. I will forewarn you, they are a little bit on the pricey side when it comes to good pens. You're good, in order to get a good one, majority of the time you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money. So the clickable ones, I got the set, and I believe the set was like $8, and it comes with, I think it was 6 different colors. And so they're a little bit more, little over $1 a piece. But when you buy a Rocketbook Everlast, it comes with a pen as well as the wiper for your notebook. All right. So friction pens, that is my number 2 favorite thing. My number 3 favorite thing is, you might already be able to guess this, is Evernote. I probably should have said that was number 1, but really and truly, I'm so in love with the Rocketbook Everlast right now that Evernote has been bumped down on my favorite things list. However, I still use it all the time. So not only do I send my notes from my Rocketbook Everlast to Evernote, but I keep all kinds of, especially if I'm sitting on my computer, I might type up blog posts in there. I might type up um, one of the things that I really love Evernote for is for research. So whenever I'm doing any type of research, I can add in links to articles, blog posts, videos into a specific note. I also like to use it for any type of planning, like planning an event, to keep everything all in one space. And the reason why I like Evernote so much is because it syncs across multiple devices. So you can have access to your notes wherever you are, from your cell phone, on a desktop, or on an iPad, on a laptop, whatever. It syncs across all your devices. So I always have access to the information that I'm looking for with me at my fingertips, and everything in it is searchable. So it's not just the title of the note, it searches the body of whatever you put in the note. And one of the really cool things about Evernote is that you can also add in tags. So not only does it search the body of whatever you've put into the note, you can add tags to it to make it a little bit more searchable. So Evernote, and it's free. The free version is very robust. You have a limit to the amount that you can add to your Evernote on a daily basis. I love Evernote. So that is my number 3 favorite thing, Evernote. My number 4 favorite thing is Temi, Temi. And what Temi is a transcription service. One of the struggles that I had, that I was having, was coming up with content to put out there, coming up with content to post to social media, to multiple social media platforms, as well as my blog posts. I do my podcast. I typically record my podcast episodes live in front of my Facebook group. And so I just was having a really difficult time keeping up with all of the content that I wanted to put out there in order to stay relevant and to stay in front of my audience. And a friend of mine introduced me to Temi sometime, actually about a year ago. She introduced me to Temi and suggested that I use it because I like to speak, because it's easier for me to do speeches. She's like, why don't you just, because I was writing my book, the same book that she encouraged me to go ahead and put out there a year ago. She suggested that I take my outline and write my book as a Facebook Live. What do I mean by that? She said, like, do speak aloud chapters. So she's like, go live, and teach each one of your chapters separately, and then take the recordings, put them into Temi, and it'll give you the transcript. And so I used it for that and didn't really think much of it. Then all of a sudden, I had this epiphany. I had this aha moment when I was like, oh my gosh, why don't I take my regular Facebook Lives and get the transcripts from those and turn them into blog posts? And then I can take quotes out of them and use that as my social media content. I can take little snippets. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So Temi is something that I use on a regular basis in my business in order to make sure that I get good quality content out to you. The thing about Temi is it is super easy to use. You can either enter a URL into it and it'll automatically pull the video so that you, or audio, whatever, depending upon what it is, it'll automatically pull it in and get the transcription for you, or you can upload a video or audio file to it and it'll pull the transcription for you that way as well. And it costs 10 cents per minute. That is all. So for a 30-minute video, $3, and you get it in like minutes, right? So rather than you trying to sit down and transcribe a video to turn it into a blog post or something, or to turn it into a book, or to pay an assistant to transcribe something, you get it in just a few minutes. Depending upon the length of the video or the audio file, the longer the audio file, the longer it'll take for you to actually get the transcription. But usually within 10 minutes, I have my transcript, and it does a pretty good job. As long as you speak clearly and don't fumble over your words, you can get a really good transcript, and you have to do minor edits to it. Temi is my number 4 favorite thing. And the last one that I want to share with you today, my 5th favorite thing, is a year at a glance calendar. You can probably see it on the wall behind me. This is actually my 2020 year at a glance calendar. I have my 2019 one here. I've already taken it down and have it folded up here on my desk because just to December, because we're when I'm recording this, it's just a few days before the December starts, and so I didn't need to have the rest of the year. I wanted to be able to see everything, and so that's what I love about the year at a glance, because I can plot in those major events that I know are going to happen or that I've already got planned out, and I can see what all I have before me, so I can know. It makes it easier for me to not overextend myself, not build too much into my schedule, so that way I don't overwhelm myself. I don't stress myself out. I don't put myself in a position where I'll be burnt out or run down, stressed out, all those things, because I can see really quickly whether or not I have the capacity to take on any more during a particular time period. So if someone asks me if I can speak, if someone asks me to participate in something, or if I want to plan a vacation, I can see at a really, at a bird's eye view, I can see at a glance whether or not I'm available. And so that makes my life so much easier. And you don't have to spend, I know that the year at a glance calendars, they're usually about $30. They're not too expensive. And I do, especially if you're doing, like, if you prefer to have like a calendar, like a tangible calendar that you can walk around with, that you have in your, carry around in your hands, which I do. I have my passion planner, but I also like to have that year at a glance. The one that I use on my wall is one that I got off of Amazon for, I think I paid like $10 for it, because it's just a paper one. It's not one of the like laminated ones. But because I use the friction pens, it's easy for me to just, if I need to make any adjustments to it, I don't have to worry about, I just use the little eraser side and erase it, and I don't have to worry about it. So if you combine your friction pens with one of the just paper versions of the year at a glance calendar, then you can save yourself a little bit of money. Otherwise, you can use dry erase markers and get one of the laminated ones where you can write on and just use to wipe it off. So those are my favorite things. It is the Rocketbook Everlast, and that's really important. They have several different versions of the Rocketbook, but the Rocketbook Everlast is my number one favorite thing, followed by the comparable, the companion friction pens. And then Evernote is number three. Number four is Temi. And then the last one is my year at a glance calendar. So those are my favorite things. And I hope that they will become your favorite things too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Love you guys.